Before we start today's video, I have a couple of quick announcements. The first thing, Prime Minister's Questions is on today, so at 9:30 PM GMT, over on the Cthulhu-Kin and Friends show. I will be doing a full response to that. It will also be streamed to stream.me, so by all means go there instead if you so choose to. Second, I want to shield two channels. Firstly, Beardbarian recently lost his channel, but now has it back, and he's uploaded 2 new videos. Link to both videos and his channel down below. And also, I want to pass congratulations over to my dear friend Red Robot, who's been on YouTube for 4 years. Now he's been stuck on about 1800 for a while, so I want to try and get him to 2000 before the end of the year. So please consider subscribing to him. Channel link below. Now as it is the Christmas festive time, we could spend the next 5 to 10 minutes staring at this picture of this rather rare albino reindeer, or mutant, whichever you prefer really. I'm going to call it adorable. But instead we're going to talk about the typical festive season moaning. It happens every year. Every year there is a park, a fair, an event. Along with that we have the typical turning on of the Christmas lights. Hell, even in my town, my tiny little town on the seafront, we have that ceremony. The same lights go up every year. We don't really change it. I think these lights might in fact be older than the people that still live there and the houses that were built. They are so old. Not that it truly matters. To me, it is a fantastic time to get my nieces, my nephew to go and see this. They're young enough to still appreciate it, and to me, certainly in the mornings and the evenings when I walk to work, those lights are far brighter than that of the street lamps, which seem to just go off whenever they damn well want to. Now, as the years have gone by, many people rank the best turning on the lights to the worst. It's quite common. So people want to outdo each other if they have the money for it. Some just resign themselves to having okay lights. They are not, however, the focus of today's video. I just want to point out these lights are cool, showing a festive thing, and I'm sure given time they will be banned for offending someone. I'm sure Christmas trees have been banned in some places, much like nativity plays. And given time, so will be the somewhat disappointing Christmas fairs. So as many know, shopping centres or malls have these massive events. I certainly remember one when I was a kid in Red Hill, in a shopping centre called the Belfry, where in that shopping centre they had this grotto, and you could pay to go in there, sit on Santa's lap, and tell him what you wanted. You got a present, had a photo, and you went on your merry way. I actually never got to do this, not because of my age or anything like that, but because we couldn't afford it. But it was certainly really festive, and I loved looking at it. And the elves were hot. Elf? Doesn't matter. I'm also going to point out now, these will inevitably be banned once they start to offend people. The point is, some places like to go all out for Christmas. It naturally drives up sales, as of course many have gone online. Shopping centres or malls have taken a hit. Well, in my country, I don't know if that's the case in the US. I see pictures of Black Friday. It scares me. An extension of this grotto are the Christmas fairs. These privately set up events or council-run events, normally in a car park or an old building that nobody uses. And they try and, quote, spruce it up in an attempt to make it as appealing as possible to get kids to come by, either to go on rides, pet a reindeer that shouldn't be in an enclosure because it's being treated like shit most of the time to the point where it's borderline animal cruelty, or because they've not given them what they need so they start to look like their actual death. It's almost as if people don't know how to look after an animal that has quite unique needs. Not that we should in any way be transporting animals from one side of the continent to another, just for kids to pet, or for grown-ups to kick. Kids also kick as well, but their feet can't reach, and I was making more of a dig at the employees that have been caught doing it. When I'm in power, I'm going to have every reindeer kick. I'm going to make sure it's in the face. Now these fairs every year happen, and every year one crops up as being truly disappointing. Take for example this Lapland New Forest in 2008. The only thing festive about that is the white stuff, and I'm pretty sure that's just dandruff. Dandruff. Yes, dandruff. Dandruff, yeah. Pretty depressing when you look at it though, don't you think? Let's go to the next one, which will be in December of 2014. This is the magical Winterland in Harrogate, North Yorkshire. Organisers since went on to claim that it will be back and better than ever. Of course, when you've set the bar so low, it's not difficult to be back better than ever when your standards are this. Have you set up shop in a hangar? It's... oh dear, oh dear. The only thing I like the look of is the penguin. Is the snowman made of used johnnies for elephants? Or the gloves they use to inseminate cows? Oh dear, oh dear. And what the fuck is this? Shouldn't this be in a Halloween set? Next on the list for 2016. Now from distance you can see stuff in the background that looks promising, but that's not what it was. This is typical really. Ever since Lapland New Forest indoor server was denounced in 2008, many have tried to create this atmosphere of festivity. Now I've often found the best way to do it was in a smaller, more isolated location like a shopping centre, where you had a grotto within a central location. You're able to boost what it appeared to be by using all the money on something that truly stood out, as opposed to spreading it out, your budget along with it, and creating something to the point where it basically showed how inept the organisers were at creating something that they wanted to be triumphant, but fell spectacularly short of the marketing promises. I'm sure they spent more money on the flyers, much like those you find for circuses, but the circus is somewhat still amusing. These are just wrist-cutting inducing. Wrist-cut inducing? Yeah. Down the street, not across the road. Next on the list would be for 2017. We're getting closer to this year, so I am building up to it. We have Crystal Palace's Winter Fest, which was dubbed the Mud Bath, and here is a picture of it. Now actually, it doesn't look too bad, it just looks like a fair with a bit of tinsel on it. So I got how it was festive, but I think we can all tell this looks like it was done in a garden centre next to all the sheds, which is the only safe space a man has when he is dragged to a garden centre. Why do you have an entire stall for popcorn? And how do you make it festive? Do you douse it in mulled wine? Oh, that sounds delicious. I see a huge stall of candy floss, cementing my belief that this is nothing more than a fair, and that is it. Unsurprisingly, because, well, in the UK we don't do very well with snow. As you can see, it hasn't settled on the path. It's turned to slush far too quickly. It wasn't the most festive appearing. We have another picture here of it though, which doesn't look too bad on the face of it. However, it was rightly denounced because of the following reasons. 1. They couldn't get Santa's grotto down there due to the snow on the motorway, because apparently they didn't book Santa for the rest of the time because of that, so basically they didn't plan in advance. The ice skating closed due to the weather. The giant observation wheel, right, yeah, couldn't be put up due to high winds, but will be delivered at a later date. Right. The most obvious way of summarising the 2017 experience at this particular mud bath. It is a really poor, popped up, minimum investment waste of time. It was difficult to walk around, and it's impossible to do so with children or a buggy. So now let's go to this year. This year's disappointment. The Winter Blunderland, as it has now been dubbed, where unsurprisingly, this Wonderland failed to match up to the advertisement, where disappointed visitors to this, quote, magical Christmas experience slammed the attraction after the event did not live up to its Facebook page. Imagine my shock. Here's a picture of it. What on earth about this is remotely festive? I see more festivities in Parliament when I watched Theresa May lose 3 votes, and one of them was on whether or not she was in contempt, or her Parliament. Here is another glorious picture for the kind of stuff people pay for. Polystyrene balls, low quality tents. Apparently that's a ball pit. Wow, this is so damn festive. Some people paid over £112 for their family to experience a few of the activities, and according to the event's website, entry to the village plus ice skating and Santa adventure cost £107 for 2 adults and 2 children aged between the age of 3 and 15. This is so bad even those that invested money in getting pitches for their own stalls spent thousands investing on it and have yet to get even half of it back. Instead of the promised 45-minute grotto experience, those guests that were greeted with very few fairground rides and a snow machine which broke after about 10 minutes. Some of these videos and pictures for this particular event were taken by people who had set up stalls, who had been waiting since August for this to happen. Now my general view is, I would love to take my nieces and nephews to an event like this, but every year they crop up and the majority of them are absolute shit. Now imagine if we actually had real snow, like one of the events that turned to slush. You're not going to be able to do anything. How are you going to make such an event magical? You would have to have an indoor event. I'm not going to try and create solutions for this. I just want to point out that some people are gullible. And while I want to be festive, I also want to be practical. I would never want to take my nieces to one of these events. I know there is one near. I'm going to do the right thing and scope it out first, courtesy of reviews. Now, as I know a lot of my American audience certainly have bigger events similar to this, I would love to know if this is something that happens quite a lot in America. Not Australia, because I know it's your summer right now. You poor, poor widow convicts. So to the Americans and Canadians, of course, please let me know in the comments below. So I hope you all have a lovely Wednesday, and thank you all for listening.